Hello everyone and welcome to Neri Flies. It's been a bit of a while since I've posted on my last video, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we're back and posting a little bit more. So for my last video, obviously we had a look at to see how we can start up the A320 from a cold and dark state, and in today's video we're going to be looking at how we can actually program our MCDU and program our autopilot channel as well. So I've made my flight plan using Simbris, and today we're going to be flying from Prague to Zurich, as we can see on my tablet. Now I do have this tablet on my tablet at home, so you can actually transfer this page and screen using your IP address essentially to your own tablet at home, which is I think quite a very cool feature of the Fenix A320 and makes it a lot more immersive. But there you go, so that my route is all planned. So the first thing we'll do is we'll go over to our MCDU and we're going to go to the ADSU page, to the AOC menu, FLT init, and we're going to request that data. Right, so we can see it's picked up our flight number, our departure destination, our alternate, and our SETE as well. Then we're going to go over to our init page and we're going to init request, and this should input all the little details from our to, our alternate, all that kind of stuff. And then what we'll do is pop up in our flight number again, so it's SWR 32 Zulu Papa. Our cost of next today is going to be 20, and our cruising flight level is going to be 340. Perfect, and all this information we can actually check in our operational flight plan. So if I come over here to our tablet, we go onto this little button, and here we can brings up our operational flight plan. So we can see our cost index here is clearly 20, and our initial climb is going to be 340, which is going to be our cruising. Cool, then we'll also send in a quick wind request and get our wind data. Great. Alright, so now we're going to go to our init B page, and we're going to input some of our preliminary loads and weights. Right, so if I come over to our operational flight plan over here, we can have a look at some of our fuel quantities, and we have some weight quantities just down below, somewhere there as well. So we have a look here, we can see our estimated trip fuel is going to be 2.6 tons. Our contingency fuel, which is going to be set to 5 minutes, is going to be about 207 kilograms. Our alternate fuel, so that's the point from, let's say we try and land in Zurich and then have to go around and then have to divert. That's going to be 1.4 tons of fuel required to go to Geneva. And our final reserve fuel, which we must land with, is going to be 1 ton. Now, for any reason, if we do think we're going to go into our final reserve fuel, you would have to call a mayday in real life and basically land as soon as possible under ATC instruction. Cool, so our takeoff fuel is going to be 5.2 tons, and our taxi fuel is set today to be about 2.3 tons, and our block fuel, it predicts, is going to be 5.4 tons. So what we'll do, we'll go on ahead and input some of this information. So our alternate today is going to be to Geneva, and it's going to be about 1.4. Usually you'd always round up, but in this case it's okay, to 1.4. And we'll have a look at our zero fuel weight. Today is going to be 55.4. And our zero fuel weight center of gravity will just input as 30 for now. And it should, we'll see what MCDU brings up in terms of its fuel planning for the block fuel. But usually it's a bit quite way out, to be honest, as to what I've planned. But so it's planned 5.0, it says, but we're going to take extra. We're going to go with 5.5. Perfect. So there we can see we've got our taxi fuel, trip fuel, and trip time. Our alternate, our final reserve fuel is at the 30 minutes. Our takeoff weight, our predicted landing weight, and this obviously can change depending on winds in flight. Our block fuel, our zero fuel weight, and then / our zero fuel weight, the center of gravity. Perfect. Now we're going to go on to our main page here. We're going to go to mass and balance. We have planned 5.5 tons. We're just going to change this a bit. Great. 120 passengers today is planned with 1,800 kilos of cargo. This will apply and load aircraft. We'll load it via GSX.
This parking is too small for your refueling truck is on its way. This parking
Perfect.
boarding requested. Please
So
don't
what I
leave
love
the
about this
aircraft until
V2
the
version
fuel
now
truck
is that
arrives and
they have
asks you to
synchronized the Fenix A320 now with GSX. So from the refueling to the boarding of passengers, it's all done in sync with the GSX, which is another great little add-on. Alright, so now 20 minutes later the aircraft has now finally loaded. We can see our passengers have boarded, our cargo is on board, and we've got the correct amount in our fuel tanks. Now usually while this is going on, I would be doing things like my flight plan checks, checking the weather, getting ATC clearance, all that kind of stuff whilst the loading is going on. So we'll go back to our init B page here, and this should now send us our final load sheets. So we're going to AOC menu, received messages, there we go. So this was a preliminary load sheet that we've already inputted into our system. And this is going to be our final load sheet. So 55.4 is our zero fuel weight, and then 30.1 is our center of gravity. So we were actually very spot on with our preliminary load inputs. Perfect. So now we're going to move on to the flight plan. So as we can see, our flight plan is being imported from SimBrief and from our tablet, but we're going to have to go to our operational flight plan and see what our SID departure is going to be. So we can see here we're departing from 24. Now obviously this all depends on ATC and ATIS information about what runway is going to be in use, but for the sake of this we're going to go with 24 by the BAL25 Alpha departure. So we'll click on the airport, we'll go on to departure, runway 24 and the BAL25 Alpha. There we go, so we can clearly see that's been inputted now into our flight plan, and this has also appeared on our navigation display. So we'll put the constraints on as well. We'll set our VORs on, and we can clearly see straight ahead to Papa Romeo 402 and then a right turn to Papa Romeo 405. So if you go to our chart, our departure charts, and what were we? We were the BAL25 Alpha. So we'll start this. So we can clearly see our plan of departure. So we would take off from runway 24. So it's 9D me out to Papa Romeo 402, and then I have a right turn on heading of 321, 11 miles to Papa Romeo 405, and a left turn landing on 247 to BAL2. Now we can see this will be our route. So runway heading of 240 to Papa Romeo 402, turn right to heading of 321, and then left to BAL2. Cool. We've also got our speed restriction of 250 knots below 10,000 feet. Unless otherwise instructed by ATC. Our transition altitude today is going to be 5,000 feet, so that's the point at which we set our altimeter to standard. And this is just some ATC instructions and the Prague radar and our airport elevation. Then we can see here we have a minimum climb gradient of 5% up to 3,200. This is due to noise abatement procedures, and this is for a different departure completely. And we can also see that within the OKL VOR, these are our minimum height restrictions, altitude restrictions, sorry. So we should always be looking to be above these altitudes within this VOR. Cool, so we'll just go ahead and confirm that then on our flight plan. So what we said a straight out to Papa Romeo 402, then a right turn to Papa Romeo 405, and then a left turn to Bautu. Perfect, so we can clearly see that that is all accurate on our system. Then what we can also do for the sake of this flight is we can input our arrival star. Now again, this will be dependent on ATC. But without ATC, we can go ahead and pop our details in. So we'll go to the operational flight plan again, and we can clearly see we're going to be landing on 1-4 via the Relax 2 Alpha. Now I also know we have some transitions on our approach to Zurich, because I fly from there quite regularly. I believe on a Relax, again we would check this on our charts. So we'll go to the arrival chart, Relax, no I said Prague, Zurich, arrival charts, Relax to Alpha, Amiki. So we will go Amiki transition. Let's have a look. We'll Relax 1-4. There you go, Relax 1-4. Is going to be our transition. And now if we cycle through our flight plan, we should get a very clean route. And there should be no discontinuities until the end. There's a bit of a mishap here. What we're going to do is we're going to clear out Amiki. I'm going to clear out Lamax as well. What have I done? I think I've accidentally cleared out the wrong waypoint, if I'm being correct. Yeah, I think I might have cleared out the wrong waypoint. But anyway, I should have cleared out Lamax, but I've cleared out a waypoint that I shouldn't have. But there we go, we can still get it to join. Anyway, so this is, yeah, so that's why the Relax 2 Alpha departure. And we clearly see this is going to be the Relax 1-4 transition. Again, this will be dependent on what ATC also instructs you. Great, so your flight plan is set up in our MCDU. We're then going to go to RadNav. Here we have our VOR frequencies. Now you can on the flight plan also set fixed info reference points. Now these are just purely going to be guidance points if need be. But you would go to a waypoint, select fixed info, select your reference fixed point, and then select the radial radius, and then just reference points for your MCDU. But for the sake of this, we're going to keep it simple and just keep it the same. Now for another video, we would also have what's called an engine out procedure. So this is what you do if an engine fails upon takeoff. So you would go to your secondary flight plan, you'd copy the active, and there's a program which I will load up on the screen, which I use. Cool, so this is called the SimSmart A320 Neo performance calculator. Now this is calculated the performance, but I don't use it for that. I only use it to get the engine out procedure. So you would go to your airport code, which is LKPR. From 24, and here we can see it's going to be a standard engine out procedure. So at 2,800 feet runway heading, you're going to turn right to Arasu point, and then you're going to have an Arasu hold inbound 061 with left turns. So that would be what you would input into your secondary flight plan. in case of an engine out procedure, but for the sake of this video we're going to keep it simple and leave it and just copy the secondary flight plan as it is. But I will go through that in another video when it comes to fixed reference points and also engine out procedures. Cool, then the final thing we need to do is go to our performance page. So we have a performance calculator, so we're going to be LKPR24 runway surface. I believe today is dry. We're going to go with dry for today, but obviously you'd have to check that on the ATIS and make sure. We'll go with optimum flap configurations, not going with toga. Anti-ice will be off. Packs we're going to keep on. Sync the weather conditions, sync the load sheet, and we'll calculate. And these are the speeds we're going to be inputting into our performance calc. So we got 128, 130, 131. And 131. Alright, so I've now inputted those speeds into our performance page. So our V1 speed is 128, and this is going to be our maximum speed during takeoff. And this will allow the aircraft to stop on the remainder of the runway in case of an aborted takeoff, essentially. So this is the pilot's decision speed. VR is our rotate speed, and V2 is going to be our minimum safety speed. So the speed at which an aircraft can safely fly if one engine does fail. Great, so there's our speeds. Then we're going to go to our flaps, flaps 2. And our trim is going to be 0. Our flex temperature, because it's going to be a flex takeoff, is going to be 6.3. Our thrust reduction is going to be 2160/2160, and engine out is going to be 2160 as well. Perfect. So that's all inputted now into our takeoff performance. Another page is called the progress page, so we can clearly see here our cruise is 340, but optimum cruise is going to be 370, so we can always request this via ATC if we would like, and then you can put in also waypoints to get to gauge distances as well. So that you can use that, but for the sake of this video we will just keep it free. So there you go, that was a nice and simple video on how to properly configure your MCDU. Now I will say again, this should not be used for real world purposes, as it's only for simulation use only, and obviously in the real world there's quite a bit more that would go on in terms of flight planning. But for the sake of the video we've kept it nice and simple, so once again I thank you for tuning in. I will bring out another video when it comes to engine out procedures and fixed info reference points in the future. And also videos on how to read charts, read weather charts as well, and all the kind of stuff like that. So once again, thank you for tuning in, and take care, and bye bye.